carb counting does get easier. The more you do it, the more you learn, the more you can remember the carb content of things. However, there is always the unreliable aspects of diabetes. Sometimes you can do all the maths and you can try and figure out any potential issue that will rise or lower your blood sugar, but at the end of the day, diabetes sometimes doesn't make sense, and sometimes you will go high or you will go low for no logical reason. So I think the best skill to learn is to be flexible and to always be prepared. Be prepared for highs, be prepared for lows, and don't take it personally because it's not your fault.
I don't go crazy. I don't get aggressive. I don't have any spectacular symptoms, but I always know I'm getting them. I've been on the low side all afternoon today, and I just get very vague, indecisive. I just seem to be low on fuel. Simple as that.
The symptoms depend, which is never helpful, but always will involve confusion, trouble concentrating, and then feeling anxious and weak to a lesser extent, and if bad, feeling sleepy, and if particularly bad, a cold sweat and racing heart seem to be the number. And there's often a myriad of those different ones. The main one being confusion is the one that I spot readily straight away.
Hypos are horrible. They're scary. I feel out of control and I get agitated too. Sometimes my vision goes as well. I feel guilty if I have one and it affects my work or it affects what I'm doing when I'm out with my friends. But I know if I treat it properly, I'll soon bounce back.
The first thing I notice when my blood sugar drops is that I get a feeling of adrenaline, and then I'll start to feel shaky and hot and sweaty, and the lower my blood sugar goes, the less clearly I can think, and my speech starts to slow down and everything feels a bit like it's in slow motion.
When I'm having a hypo, I feel hot, sweaty, a bit drained in energy, lacking all round really, but I'm lucky I have good hypo warning systems, and through experience I've got to learn when one's coming. Hypo treatments, probably the best ones are juices, apple juice, orange juice, but when I'm out on the bike that's not a viable option, so I use Haribo, I use energy gels. Cake stops are good as well, so anything with sugar in, but the trick is learning not to bounce it back too high the other way, and that comes with experience, but you don't always get it right.
And I usually treat it with glucose tablets or orange juice, or if I'm out I'll take little packets of Skittles or Haribos with me, and I know that one bag of those is between 10 and 15 grams of carbs, and then I'll wait to see if my blood sugar rises, and if it doesn't I'll retreat with the sugar, and then after that I'll have something a bit more slow acting, like a cereal bar to keep me going. I do get afraid of hypo sometimes, especially if I'm on my own, and I just check a lot more often when I'm alone, or if I think I might go low because of exercise or something. And sometimes it is just unpredictable, sometimes it's because you count your carbs wrong, sometimes it's because you just do something spontaneous and unexpected, or something happens like you burn your dinner and then you've already taken your insulin and your food's not ready or something. So there's so many reasons that can cause a hypo. Mostly for me it's the heat or exercise or alcohol. So yeah, the more you find yourself in these situations, the more you can learn from them and try and prevent them. What causes my glucose levels to rise, other than carbohydrate, is stress or anxiety and emotions. So if I have a little bit of road rage, or if I get upset and cry about something, or if I watch a tense movie and I'm like really, really tense or scared, my blood sugars will rise. And it took me a long time to figure that out. It wasn't until I had a continuous glucose monitor that I could see the effect of emotions and stress on my blood sugars. So I don't normally inject to prevent those from happening, I just correct when it does happen. So after watching a movie and my blood sugars have shot up because it's a scary movie or a particularly exciting movie, then I'll inject afterwards to bring me down. And my recent episode of diabetic ketoacidosis was when I had a stomach bug and I couldn't keep anything down for 3 days, and I wasn't experienced in dealing with sickness in type 1 because the last time I threw up was before I had diabetes when I was a young teen. So I didn't really know how to handle it, even though I had been told what to do. I hadn't experienced it. So I checked for ketones. In fact, every time I feel unwell, I'll check for ketones. And I drank a lot of sugary liquids because that was the only way I could get carbohydrate into me. But I know that any illness will make my blood sugars rise. So I slowly increase my insulin, and I will either email my team or call my team and get advice from them. So if you're ever unsure, just make a call if you can. If it's the weekend, then call 111 because someone will be able to give you advice. It's better to be confident in what you're doing than to be unsure. And I drank a lot of water, and despite all that, I guess the insulin just wasn't enough. And even though I wasn't really eating, my blood sugars still were quite high, not too high, but they were still in the teens, and I ended up getting ketones, and I had to go into the hospital to have intravenous fluids and intravenous insulin, and I ended up taking probably about 8 times more insulin within 24 hours via IV because my body needed that much more insulin, and I wasn't confident giving all that insulin back home by myself. So I'm glad I went in, and it does feel horrible. It's one of the worst feelings ever. You just feel so dehydrated, so drained, and your muscles are aching just because you don't have any glucose to fuel your body. It's a really strange headache that you get when you're high and you've got ketones, and then you kind of feel like you can't breathe. It's very unpleasant. So if you've got a trace of ketones, call your team or call 111 and get the help you need straight away, because it's not pleasant and it can be very, very dangerous. But it is treatable.